What is up, you guys? Glitchiz here, coming at you with another Dauntless video. But first, if you enjoy quality gaming content, then consider hitting that subscribe button and turning on notifications so you don't miss any of my future uploads. And if you appreciate this video, then be sure to smack that like button and comment down below. I appreciate all of your guys' feedback. As always, makes me a better content creator and helps make videos you guys actually want to watch. That being said, for today's video, I actually have to start off with an apology, a big apology. For those of you that know me, I'm a man of my word, and I don't really dig the whole clickbaity type of thumbnails. So when you see a video of mine that says the best video for such and such a purpose, it's because I genuinely feel that that is the best build for that purpose. Now, I can admit that I was wrong in my last video. Thanks to all of your guys' feedback. A few of you commented with a potential fix for that previous build, my support build, that would have made it better. And it involved adding cunning instead of tough. And I tested it out when I was actually doing the first build, but it wasn't giving me as much shield and I wasn't doing as much damage. It was almost equal because the combination of armor I was using didn't allow for both the predator perk that I originally had and cunning to be in it at the same time. So I digged a little deeper, and I don't know how I missed it, but I remembered that the Gnasher helmet has tenacious built in now. And once I found that out, I was able to come up with a whole new combination of armor that does allow full +6 cunning and predator to be included in the build for a crazy boost of extra damage, which in return will give us a ton of extra shields for the build as well, and ultimately just making the build that much better. So I appreciate your guys' feedback. This is genuinely the best build that I can come up with, and thanks again. That's all I have to say about that. The other thing I want to apologize for, and I feel a little bit more bad about this than the actual build being wrong, in my opinion, is a few of you reached out to me kind of upset that my previous support build video, not the one right before this, but my old one from back in December that had the 14,000 views or whatever on it, people were finding that video first and using up all of their resources to make that build, not knowing that I have this updated build. So for those people, what I'm going to do is, as soon as this video gets uploaded, I plan on revamping the thumbnails for both of those older support build videos to make it a lot more clear that those aren't the most recent ones. And I'll include links to this video in the descriptions of both of those old ones so that it is much more clear and you guys won't have to worry about potentially spending materials on the wrong armor pieces, and you can go straight into the latest and greatest version on this video. So let's jump right into the build and I'll show you guys what we changed. So to start out, we have obviously the same sword. It's going to be the Poisonous Thorn. This is the Agorist sword from the legendary weapon from the Frost Escalation. It has Avenging Overdrive for the special mod, Recursive Hilt for the regular mod, of course the Skarn weapon for the increased shields, and feel free to swap the primary weapon out with any other Agorist or Skarn based weapon. It doesn't have to be swords. The build is still viable with a lot of the other weapon types. But what we changed was, instead of having double Tenacious in the legendary weapon now, we're putting one Tenacious and one Predator. And the reason we're putting Predator in here is because our +3 second Tenacious is going to be built into our Gnasher helmet that I mentioned. So moving on to the helmet, we now have the Gnasher cap, which is different from before, and that has Tenacious built into it, which allows us, and a defensive slot. So we're going to put our +3 Guardian in our helmet now instead. And a quick summary of those previous cells is for Guardian, really important for this build, 60% of the health that is applied to you is also applied to your nearest teammate. And since this whole build is based around the Unity avatar and giving out shields, we want to take full advantage of those shields and boost our teammate and support our team as much as possible. So really good there. And then our Tenacious, this is the other key component to this build. For every 100 current HP gained, 2% bonus damage. Now this is where the switch came in. Originally on paper, I had toughness, +6 toughness in this build to get us that extra 500 health. Now on paper that sounded good originally, because that extra 500 health with Tenacious is going to give us a flat 10% damage buff across the board. But what cunning does, and why we're switching to it, is it gives +10% critical strike chance, but +30% critical strike damage. So by the time we get those increased shields from Tenacious and our Skarn weapon, the bonus damage that we're going to be doing from the critical strike chance and the 30% bonus critical strike damage, because our crit chance is going to be so high, is actually more than the 10% that we're getting from the +6 toughness. So in the long run, it is better, and I did test it. And not only are the shields higher, but the damage output is much higher, and you can slay the behemoths a lot quicker. So +6 cunning was definitely the route to go, and definitely the perfect addition to this support build in my opinion. So thank you guys again for that feedback. Moving on, we have the Thrax Shadow for the chest piece. This is the Thrax chest piece. That will have +3 cunning built in to get us the first half of cunning, and then we're putting our second +3 cunning cell to get us to +6 cunning. Moving on, we have the Torgadoro gloves. This is the one thing that stayed the same from the previous build. These are the Torgadoro gloves. That will give us our +3 built-in overpower and the second +3 overpower cell to get us to +6. And for those of you that don't know what overpower does, it will give us +60% damage versus staggered behemoths. So this is not only when you stagger behemoth, but also when you get a part break on a behemoth, that little interrupt animation, that's considered the behemoth being staggered as well. So there's plenty of opportunities during a fight where you're going to get this +60% bonus damage buff. And it's really, really strong. Overpowered, probably one of the strongest cells in the game. Highly recommend you try and get it into every build that you make. Last but not least, this is the other thing that changed, is we have the Adversary's Drive, which is the Urska legs. Now, I didn't think I'd ever use these. The Cascade helmet from Urska was the only viable piece that I thought I'd ever use, but sure enough, because we swapped the helmet out, the Adversary's Drive ended up being the perfect complementary armor piece to give us that second point into Guardian, as well as a utility cell to throw in our first Cascade point. And we want to get to +6 Cascade by the end of the build. So we're able to put our first one into the boots, and then our last one is going to go into our lantern. And for the lantern, we're using Draskai for the increased damage, which will ultimately give our shield ticks a higher percentage, and we'll get more shields from that. And what Cascade does, and why it's so good, is it will randomly generate, when we do our lantern hold, 4 power boosts on the ground that are different colors. The red ones give you a damage power boost, yellow is a stamina boost, green gives you health regen over time, and at +6 we get the chance to get a purple buff, which will give us invincibility shield, similar to the purple shield you get while fighting Valamir, those crystals. Same type of shield. It basically makes you invulnerable to all attacks for a short period of time. But what's also cool is when we're at +6 Cascade, all of those smaller buffs actually get boosted even more. So the stamina yellow buff gives you even more stamina. The red buff has increased duration when you pick it up, so you'll do those power hits for longer. The green orbs will not only give you healing over time, but it will also grant more shields, so that's really good. And then again, we have the invincibility shield. So Cascade, really, really strong. And I've actually started supplementing that for Parasitic and Iceborne in a lot of my other builds, because the regen from the health orbs are almost as strong as Iceborne. So really, really good there. And then the Knockout King, that's coming from our Skarn weapon. And then of course we have Predator, which will give us another 14% damage boost as long as we haven't taken a hit for 15 seconds. We do lose this if we get hit, but as long as you're halfway decent at dodging, that is a very big boost in damage for only 3 points. So really, really good choice there. Lastly, we swapped out, as I mentioned in the previous video, our tonics a little bit. We're now running the Cleansing Pylon for those emergency frostbite reduction needs that we might have throughout the run. Frostbite is probably your only enemy in this whole thing. You'll be at max health, max shields the entire run. Frostbite is the only thing that can potentially take you down. And I'll go over the amps from the escalation to help mitigate that a little bit. But you definitely want to take those Cleansing Pylons to help out, as well as the Frenzy Tonic and Blitz Tonic for the increased attack speed and the increased attack damage. So yeah, that is the build. I'll do a quick cut here and go over the amps for the escalation again. It's going to be the same as the one before, but for the people watching this new video, I want to go in depth on that as well. So let's jump over to the escalation terminal. All right, you guys, here we are at the escalation terminal. And again, the amps that I'm showing off for the perks in the escalation terminal are exactly the same as the previous version. But for those of you that might be watching this video for the first time, I'll go just as in depth on it as I did in the previous one. Feel free to pause it and just copy it if you don't want to watch the whole description again. But here we go. To start out, we're going to be taking Frozen Armor. This is great for increased shields during the Frost Escalation. putting 3 points into Zai's maneuvers for the 15% passive movement speed, as well as the most important one, Insulated Gear 1, to give us that extra frostbite reduction. Moving on, we're taking Insulated Gear 2 for even more frostbite reduction, 3 points into Borman's Might for 15% passive stagger damage on hit for the entire escalation, so good buff there, and 3 points into Mora's Reinforcement for the 15% passive damage reduction throughout the entire escalation. We're also going to be taking Insulated Gear 3, again, for more frostbite reduction. And lastly, in the third column, Bottled Warmth. This is really good because when we're running Never Bothered Me, our frostbite meter fills up pretty quickly. So with Bottled Warmth, it grants you the effects of the braziers for 8 seconds after leaving the radius. So the run in between from arena to arena, you're not going to be taking extra frostbite meter for no reason. So really good bonus to have there. Moving on, we have Heated Blade. This absorbs the flames from the braziers and causes our next attack to deal 50% more damage. The cool thing about this one is that it can actually stack. So for example, from the 4th round to the final boss fight with Urska Arena, you run past like 5 or 6 braziers. So you're getting 5 or 6 50% times more damage hits right out the gate as soon as the fight starts. So really, really good boost in damage. And that's why I recommend taking that. Next, we have 1 point into Warm Blooded. This is our get out of jail free card. Once per run, if for some reason we're in an emergency and your teammates might be slacking a little bit on dropping those cleansing pylons and your frostbite meter does get to full and you get frozen, Warm Blooded allows you to automatically break out of that ice barrier once per run. So it's basically a free life. 3 points into Cat's Claws for the 10% passive attack damage, which is really good. And that goes for the entire escalation as well. Then we move on to Never Bothered Me. This is the perk that rapidly increases our frostbite meter to 50%. So you'll hear that alarm going off a lot, but it does give us a 15% passive attack damage and damage reduction buff for the entire escalation. So as long as you can manage your frostbite meter, that is a big, big buff that you're going to have for the entire duration of the escalation. So really good to have. Lastly, we have Lucky Strikes. This is for 15% passive critical strike chance. And then Cold Rush, which will give us 25% increased movement speed, 15% increased attack speed, and 10% increased damage for 1 minute after slaying a behemoth. So on the rounds that we have the double behemoths, that is a big boost of damage and movement speed and attack speed that you're going to get once that first behemoth is slain, jumping into the second one. So really, really nice there. And then lastly, obviously, we're going to take Aspect of the Mender because we're going to be running the Avatar of Unity. Pulses 25 healing to all of our allies within a short distance every 5 seconds, and the amount is increased to 50 because we're running the Avatar of Unity. So really, really good synergy between all of these and between the 3 tiers of insulated gear, the warm-blooded and bottled warmth. You shouldn't have too hard of an issue dealing with your frostbite mitigation. That's another reason why we take the cleansing pylons as well. So just in case you are in a situation where it's getting too high and you've already frozen once, you have those consumables to help you out there as well. Yeah, that is the new build. Again, I thank you guys so much for your feedback. That's why I recommend you guys comment down below with any feedback. I'm a man of my word. I like being as transparent as I can possibly be with these builds and getting you the best possible outcome you can with all of them. So thank you guys for the feedback. I appreciate you making this build even better. And apologies again to the people that crafted armor pieces for my old ones. Like I mentioned before, I'm going to be updating those thumbnails to make it a lot more clear that this is the new build. So thank you guys again. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit that like button. And if you're not already subscribed, consider hitting that subscribe button and turning on notifications so you don't miss any of my future uploads. Hope you guys had a great day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Later. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to hit that like button. Also, if you're looking to join a killer community of like-minded gamers, then be sure to click the link in the description and join the Glitch Gang Discord server. We continue to grow every day, and it's filled with all your favorite game discussion channels, as well as several LFG channels to help you find that perfect group for your next hunt or raid. Lastly, if you're new to the channel and want to keep up to date with all my future content, then consider hitting that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. Hope you all had a great day, and I will catch you on the next one.